Solar energy is becoming increasingly popular. Duke Energy is planning a solar farm at Crane. Hoosier Energy is building solar farms throughout Indiana. As JD Gray reports, one group of residents in Columbus is trying to jumpstart the momentum in their community.
Mike Mullet lives in Columbus, Indiana. He has a lot to be proud of in his backyard, his dog, his flowers, but Mullet is especially proud of his solar panel. He installed them on his daughter's birthday.
As you get to our age, you start thinking about legacy. You know, what kind of world are we leaving?
Mullet spent years as an environmental lawyer, and now he is concerned about climate change.
The more I learned about the economics of energy production, transmission, distribution, and consumption, the more I learned about the environmental impacts.
Mullet tracks his solar panels online. He builds up charts and graphs that help put his contribution to the environment into perspective.
So the amount that we've generated from the solar panels on our house to date is the equivalent of 1 day's worth of power from a major sports stadium.
That's the same amount of carbon that 1 acre of trees would offset in the same amount of time. Now Mullet wants to create a virtual forest of solar panels. But so far in Columbus, solar energy has not taken off. Justin Ackert works for the Bartholomew County REMC, an energy company. The company is a co-op that buys power from Hoosier Energy and sells it to their members in Columbus and the surrounding area. Ackert is the solar guy. He keeps a book about solar energy on his desk. He's the guy that adjusts the company's panels to save them money and produce more energy. Ackert helps members understand their options. He looks at the angles on their house and how much shade covers their home.
If we can lower their usage, they are obviously going to benefit from the lower energy consumption, the lower bill, but it's good for the environment, which is what we're also here for. But ultimately, it also helps us to decrease demand, which means lowering the need to build another power plant.
In the 2.5 years since Ackert started working with the company, he says only one member has installed solar panels.
The cost of solar is really coming down, and when you look at the numbers of the initial investment, people just want to know, when am I going to get that back? Am I getting it back in 5 years, 10 years, 15, 20, or so on? And if it's a reasonable return, it makes sense to them.
At a recent meeting at the Columbus Visitor Center, Mike Mullet gathered a group of volunteers to talk to residents about their goal to solarize Columbus. The group's hope is to install 1,000 new solar panels in Bartholomew County by the end of the year.
There's a tremendous difference between curious interest and calculated commitment. And to actually act, you have to move from curious interest to calculated commitment.
The Columbus Community Solar Initiative worked out a deal with a solar panel distributor, Third Sun Solar. The idea is if you sell a lot of solar panels at once, the block purchase creates a lower price for the consumer.
The whole solarized concept is something that's been growing in the Midwest. So it's newer to Indiana. It's been going on in Ohio a little bit longer.
Mullet says it will take about 40 households and 10 businesses to meet the goal of 1,000 panels.
My order personally is 28. With the 28 panels, we should be able to cover nearly 100% of our energy usage on a net metered basis, meaning we will be putting excess solar energy, electricity on the grid.
Kastner says he is spending about $20,000 on his solar panels, but that number comes down to about $14,000 after he accounts for a tax credit he'll get back. Kastner says he expects the panels to pay themselves off in around 12 years.
All by ourselves, one household, one family, just all by itself, isn't going to make a difference. But in terms of having a community initiative that gets many families, businesses, nonprofit organizations involved, that starts to have an impact.
For Indiana News Desk, I'm JD Gray.
Now, in the second phase, 5 people signed letters of intent to purchase solar energy from Third Sun Solar. And